Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're taking a deep, fascinating look at creative recovery. And I mean, really looking at it not just as some kind of elective skill, but more like a mandatory psychological, maybe even spiritual reset.
Yeah, it's like a blueprint.
Exactly, a blueprint for moving past that awful feeling of artistic blockage and, finally activating that potential, is simmering inside.
And the source material we're drawing from today, it treats this journey with real seriousness.
Yeah.
We're not just listing some exercises here.
Wow.
We're really trying to extract the core tools and maybe more importantly, the philosophical shifts you actually need to make to achieve, well, creative autonomy.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, this approach sees creativity not just as a talent, like you said, but as a path.
Yeah.
A really rigorous program of action, actually, that kicks off some profound internal change.
And when you look at the source material, it's interesting. It doesn't just float around with abstract ideas. It anchors it. Like it talks about Manhattan just teeming with artistic dreams.
Hmm.
That description, where it says the concentration of artists is so dense that cellos are as frequent and as ungainly as cows in Iowa.
I love that.
That image is brilliant, isn't it? Because it sets up this tension perfectly.
Yeah.
You've got this history, right? The ghosts of Duke Ellington, Leonard Bernstein, John Lennon kind of haunting the streets, which proves creativity is collective. It's everywhere.
Right.
But then the recovery from your own blockages, that's intensely solitary. It needs very specific, very individual self-nurturance.
And that self-nurturance, it seems to boil down to two main, almost deceptively simple daily practices.
Acceptably simple is right.
This daily stream of consciousness writing, and then a weekly solo excursion. We're definitely going to unpack why these two things, the morning pages and the artist dates, are presented as this sort of non-negotiable foundation for breaking through.
But before we dive into the tools themselves, we really have to grasp the philosophical underpinning. It's crucial.
The source material's core belief is, well, kind of radical. It says the artist is essentially a channel. They even quote Pete Mondrian saying, "The position of the artist is humble. He is essentially a channel."
Huh, humble.
Yeah. And the ultimate goal isn't just about making something great, a great product. It's to meet, and this is their phrasing, firsthand, the hand of our creator.
Okay, that's pretty heavy language. And I can imagine for a lot of people listening, terms like creator or God, that can immediately put up a wall.
Absolutely. And the sources know this. They actually suggest you can substitute those terms with concepts you're more comfortable with, like good orderly direction or flow, mind, universe, higher power, whatever works.
So if it's just about tapping into flow, why the insistence on this, like, high-stakes spiritual language then? Why not just keep it practical?
Well, I think it's because it demands a certain level of commitment and respect. The source really argues that you have to view this creative impulse as spiritual electricity.
Okay.
It's an energetic force, you see, something you're choosing to use, not just some mood you passively wait for. And what's really critical here is recognizing that this recovery process, it's a spiral path. It is definitely not linear.
Right.
It's emotionally tumultuous.
It's definitely not a straight line to creative enlightenment then. It sounds like you often start out feeling kind of giddy, maybe defiant.
Yeah, that's common.
And then the process just churns up all this old stuff, resentments, anger, grief. And only then does it maybe settle into a place of more autonomy, more resilience. It sounds, frankly, messy and maybe exhausting.
It is exhausting because, in a way, it's profound self-reparenting. You're essentially training for an emotional marathon. And the text really emphasizes this.
Yeah.
You log maybe 10 slow, painful miles for every one fast, successful mile you feel you run. The key maxim is always progress, not perfection.
Okay, that's important. Progress, not perfection.
Because if you try to sprint through that emotional cleanup, you just risk burning out. Or worse, making one of those creative U-turns we'll talk about later.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. So that brings us to the first big tool for cleaning up that internal mess, the morning pages. Can you describe physically what that involves?
Sure. It's very straightforward physically.
Yeah.
3 pages, longhand only, no typing. Strictly stream of consciousness writing.
Okay.
Ideally, first thing when you wake up, before the defenses go up. And the cardinal rule, which I find fascinating too, is you absolutely do not reread them.
Never.
Never. And you certainly don't share them. They're meant to be a one-time brain drain. Just get it out.
So it's explicitly not writing practice then. It's not about becoming a better writer.
Exactly. Not at all. Think of it more like a surgical tool. Its primary function is to defeat the main enemy of creativity, which the source calls the sensor.
The sensor. Okay.
Yeah, and yet you have to understand what this sensor is. It's basically the leftover survival part of your brain. Its job was to scan the meadow for danger, right?
Right. The primitive brain stuff.
Exactly. And because anything truly original feels inherently risky or unknown to that part of the brain, it insists that every fresh new idea is wrong or dangerous or rotten.
Wow. Okay.
It only loves what it deems safe sentences, the stuff it's heard and approved 1,000 times before.
Yeah.
It hates novelty.
That's such a sharp insight. So the pages basically separate that critical voice from the actual artist's voice by forcing the logic brain, the sensor, to just spill everything out, negative, petty, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You're teaching it to kind of stand aside and let the messy, playful artist brain express itself without that immediate destructive judgment kicking in.
Precisely. It becomes a really valid form of meditation in that sense because it helps you, the writer, resign as the self-conscious author. You just stop filtering. You let it flow. And the results, I mean, the sources claim they're undeniable. They share these anecdotes. Writers who were just crippled by blocks, who committed to the pages. Maybe reluctantly at first, but they did it. And they went on to win Emmy Awards, Grammy Awards, for work that came directly out of the clarity the pages provided.
Wow.
Even if the pages themselves just seem full of petty complaints or nonsense, they somehow show you the way forward. They clear the path.
So, okay, the morning pages are the tool for clearing the channel, sweeping out the debris, getting rid of the sensor's noise. But where does the fuel come from? You can't just clear out the well. You have to refill the reservoir, right?
Exactly. That's where tool number 2 comes in, the artist bait.
The artist date.
It's defined as a weekly, planned, solitary excursion. And this is crucial. It's for pleasure, purely for pleasure.
Solitary is key there, too, I imagine.
Absolutely solitary. This is about consciously nurturing that inner artist child. You know, the part of you that's probably been criticized and starved for decades.
Yeah, we all have one of those.
We do. And the guiding principle for the artist date is mystery, not mastery.
Mystery, not mastery. Okay, what does that mean practically?
It means if you turn it into a duty like, oh, I should go to this challenging exhibition, or I must read this dense but critically acclaimed book, you've missed the point entirely.
So it's not about self-improvement in that sense.
Not at all. The activity has to genuinely intrigue you. It needs to tap into that sort of childlike curiosity, that sense of wonder or play.
Okay, give us some examples. What kind of things count?
Well, the examples given are often beautifully simple, almost mundane, like go to a 5-and-dime store, a dollar store, and just buy silly things. Gold stick-on stars, tiny plastic dinosaurs, glitter glue, things with no purpose.
Right, just pure whim.
Pure whim. Or maybe just change your normal commute route or walk down a street you've never explored in your own neighborhood. Because, as the source says, sight leads to insight. Just seeing new things.
That makes sense.
Listening to an old album you haven't heard in years is described as a very effective, focused kind of meditation. Or even cooking.
Cooking? How so?
Well, the simple repetitive act of chopping vegetables or paring fruit, that kind of rhythmic action can reach the artist's brain not through reason, but through rhythm. It just primes the well.
I love that, the rhythm, not reason. But tell me this.
Yeah.
Why is it that people who are often desperate for a creative breakthrough, why do they resist these fun, simple, seemingly harmless dates so fiercely? It seems counterintuitive.
Oh, the resistance is huge. It's core to the whole recovery process, actually. The source flat out calls it a fear of intimacy, but specifically self-intimacy.
Fear of self-intimacy. Wow.
It suggests we're terrified of being truly alone with our inner artist child because we know that child might blurt out uncomfortable truths.
Like what?
Like what we really want deep down, or how miserably we feel we've failed to provide ourselves with basic nurturance or fun. So avoiding the date becomes a way of avoiding responsibility for your own delight.
Yeah, that hits home. Okay, so we started clearing the internal sensor with pages and refilling the internal well with dates. But even then, external forces can still try to derail things, right? The sources warn about these. Crazy makers.
Yes, crazy makers. They're the external blocks. These are people in your life who often unconsciously thrive on creating drama. They might use shame or blame to maintain emotional control over you, the artist.
And they tend to pop up right when things are going well?
Often, yes. They seem almost allergic to your success. They might sabotage you just as you're approaching a major creative milestone, often because your growing autonomy somehow threatens their sense of power or their role in your life.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. And if the external crazy maker doesn't get you, Sometimes we just do it to ourselves, don't we? That creative U-turn.
Oh, absolutely. We step right in and self-sabotage, retreating just when the possibility of real success, real change is imminent.
Right.
It's baffling and deeply frustrating to watch, especially when you catch yourself doing it.
So why? Why do we do that?
Fundamentally, the source argues, it's rooted in a deep lack of trust. A lack of trust that the universe might actually be cooperating with you.
Right. Like it's too good to be true.
Exactly. Think of the example they give of Mike.
Yeah.
This guy realizes he desperately wants to make films. And then, like 2 weeks later, through this amazing synchronicity, he gets admitted to film school. Not only that, his company agrees to pay the entire tuition.
Incredible. That's the dream scenario.
You'd think. But what does Mike do? He immediately quits the program to look for another job.
Yeah.
He literally couldn't handle the universe cooperating so blatantly. The gift felt too big, too scary.
Wow. That retreat, then, it must be rooted in those unacknowledged core negative beliefs, right? The source calls them either beliefs.
Precisely. Those deep-seated fears that whisper, if you get the art, you have to sacrifice love, or if you achieve success, you'll lose your friends, or you can be creative or are solvent, but not both, that kind of thing.
Yeah, the zero-sum game thinking.
Exactly. And these toxic negatives often manifest as sharp negative blurts that show up on your morning pages.
Ah, okay. So the pages reveal them.
Yes. And the antidote the source proposes for these blurts, the weapon you use to fight that U-turn reflex, is the affirmation.
Affirmations. Okay, how does that work?
You consciously take those toxic blurts you find in your pages and you convert them into a positive present tense statement. So if your blurt is, "I'll never be a real artist," you actively affirm, "I am a brilliant and prolific artist." Or if it's not safe to succeed, you affirm, "I am safe and supported in my success."
And I think it's really important we note here that the sources totally acknowledge that affirmations often feel, well, awkward or dumb, hokey, or embarrassing, as they put it, especially when you first start saying them.
Oh, completely. They're not meant to feel true immediately. That's not the point.
Right.
The point is to create a new sense of safety and hope, to give your recovering artist self something positive to lean on while those old destructive beliefs are starting to break down. It's like building a new mental pathway.
Got it. So it's about persistence, that sustained effort, using the pages, the dates, the affirmations, that eventually leads you into this stage the source calls synchronicity.
Yes, synchronicity, which is essentially the idea that the universe isn't indifferent. It actually acts, often quite directly, in response to your commitment.
That sounds potentially amazing, but also maybe a bit scary.
It is. Answered prayers, as the source points out, are often terrifying because they imply immediate responsibility. You ask for it, now what?
Ha, right.
But experiencing synchronicity is powerful proof that you're living in an intelligent, responsive universe.
Yeah.
Things start lining up.
This is where we get some of the really cool stories, isn't it? Like the playwright in Denver.
Oh, that's a classic example from the source, yeah. This playwright has a crucial staged reading all set up, and then disaster strikes. He loses his leading lady right at the last minute.
Oh, no.
Total panic. But someone asks him, okay, forget reality for a second. Who would be your absolute ideal, impossible dream choice for this role? And he names this well-known actress, Juliana McCarthy.
Okay, dream casting.
Pure dream casting. But within 24 hours, she somehow becomes available. She's flown into Denver. She does the reading, and it's a massive success. Leaves way more opportunities for him.
Wow. What was his takeaway from that?
His takeaway was beautiful. He just said God is showing off. Like the universe was playfully demonstrating what's possible when you commit.
God is showing off. I love that.
And that story really brings home the power of decisive action. It echoes what the explorer W.H. Murray observed, which Goethe also talked about.
Which is?
That until one is committed, there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. But the moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. All sorts of things start happening to help. Action, they say, has magic, grace, and power in it.
Action has magic, grace, and power. Okay, but just as you're about to hit that, like a step velocity, right? Just before the big creative leap, the sources warn you, often draw something else to yourself first. The test.
Ah, yes, the test. It's like the final boss battle before you level up.
Right. It's that last chance to relapse into your old comfortable patterns, your old doubts. It might manifest as, I don't know, a skeptical friend suddenly calling you up the wet blanket friend.
Yep. The wet blanket, always ready to pour cold water on your enthusiasm.
Or maybe it's something tempting, like a sudden, unexpected raise at that soul-crushing job you were just about to leave to pursue your art.
Exactly. The universe tests your resolve one last time. Are you really committed to this new path?
And you have to push past that test. Because the goal, ultimately, is autonomy. Real creative freedom.
That's it. And the sources state it very plainly. Genuine self-respect doesn't come from external validation. It comes from doing the work, day in, day out.
Mm-hmm.
An artist eventually has to accept that their credibility lies solely with them, with their connection to that creative source, whatever they call it, and with their commitment to the process itself, not its market value, not what critics say,
So it's about shifting your focus entirely inward.
completely. And this whole process of going sane, as the source calls it, which, by the way, initially feels just like going crazy, that is the necessary process. It's the feeling of detaching from that old, limited, blocked life and stepping into something new and unknown.
Okay, so let's try to wrap this up for everyone listening. What does this all mean for you right now? What are the key takeaways from this deep dive?
Well, I think the main thing is that creative recovery, as presented here, is defined by relentless action and focusing on the process, not obsessing over the product.
Right. And we have those two fundamental daily and weekly tools. Morning pages for separating that inner critic from the artist, clearing out the censor.
And the artist dates for actively, consciously filling the well and combating that tricky fear of self-intimacy.
Then using affirmations as a practical tool to fight back against those ingrained core negative beliefs, those either loops that keep us stuck.
Exactly. It's a very hands-on approach. And maybe the final, really profound insight these sources offer touches on attention and how it relates to the quality of your life.
How so?
They argue pretty compellingly that conventional success or failure, external metrics, actually have very little to do with the actual quality of your lived experience.
Okay. So what does determine it?
They say the quality of your life is in proportion always to your capacity for delight.
The capacity for delight.
Yeah. And then they land this beautiful concluding thought. The capacity for delight is the gift of paying attention. It all comes back to where you put your focus.
That's powerful. Okay, so as a final thought for you listening, we really urge you to consider what small, enjoyable action, maybe that artist date you know you need, but keep putting off, what are you currently resisting? And maybe get curious about why that resistance feels so strong.
Yeah, what tiny, joyful change could you make, maybe even right now, today, to begin moving just a little more confidently toward that life you've imagined for yourself?
It doesn't have to be huge, just start. As Thoreau said, go confidently in the direction of your dreams, live the life you've imagined.